And record this. All right, we're recording and I'm letting everyone in here. A few more joining. Welcome everyone. Good to see everyone.
Hello, everybody.
All right, we have a little bit smaller of a group tonight. I think everyone's out enjoying the sun. It is a nice warm weather.
And Tracy and I escaped from the warm weather in the Twin Cities up to the North Shore. So we're enjoying cold 30 degrees and we're getting a foot of snow tomorrow. So we never plan our vacations that well.
At least you keep it exciting.
That's right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Yeah. If anyone, just real quick, if anyone is new to our, oops, again, let's get a few more in here. Few connecting here. 1 second. All right, if anyone is new to our classes, or if anyone needs a reminder, we just keep everyone muted for the classes, these free Monday classes, but we also do record these classes and we post them to YouTube so that you can watch them later, and go back and see if you missed the point, you can go back and watch it, or just if you happen to miss a week, you can go on to our YouTube channel, and then if you want to, you can subscribe to that so then you be notified whenever we post a new class if you want to watch that. And we'll have some other videos on there also, but
yeah, subscribing to our YouTube video is a nice way of supporting us. We appreciate it when people do that. So if you're one to watch YouTube videos, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel.
Definitely. Oh, and then one other thing, if you have any questions, since we have everyone muted, if you just want to put it into the chat, and then I'll be monitoring that, and I can ask Jeff how to get the YouTube. Get the YouTube. Wow. I'm going to get a link right here. I'll post the link in the chat, because this is a golden opportunity.
Yep. And there's some really classy videos on there too.
Yeah, we do keep it pretty serious.
So you already reminded everyone that we're going to have you muted. So what I thought, usually what we'll do is we'll draw the Indian chief or the subject a number of times. But tonight I want to try something different, because sometimes I feel like if you knew what I was going to do, then it would be easier for you. And so what I thought I'd do is just paint a small headdress, and that way you can see what I'm doing or how I'm going to kind of build it. And then it'll be easier for you to do it instead of trying to keep up with me. So with the headdress here, I'm going to create just a little, before I get started, I wanted to show what colors I use. So I do have my magenta, lemon yellow. I'm not using cadmium yellow light tonight, I'm using lemon yellow, and that's the true primary. Cyan blue, Indian yellow, and cadmium red light, and of course white. I did bring a medium, liquid medium to mix in with it to speed up the drying process since we're traveling. But these will be the colors that I'll be referring to. So magenta, lemon yellow, cyan blue, Indian yellow, and cadmium red light. And if you don't have these colors, no problem. Think of it as a red, orange, an orange, blue, yellow, red. That makes it a lot easier. And you will get different colors, but that's okay. We want everybody's to be different. That's what makes the class fun and exciting. And this little mess over here is just paint I've been scraping away and setting to the side, and I'll use it as a mud. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to take a little bit of magenta, a little bit of the cyan blue, and a little bit of the cadmium red light. Mix them together, and I'm going to get a nice dark. Well, I got a nice dark brown, but I'm going to add some more blue, kind of tone that down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm getting a nice purplish gray color. And that's going to be kind of my dark. So instead of using a black, I'm just going to use a dark. So the Indian headdress that we're going to wear that we're going to paint tonight kind of has a downward slant right there, goes back. Got a little button right here, medallion. This is going to be the beadwork in this area. Actually, let's do something. So this is where the red, I don't know what they would actually call them. It's red decoration, kind of like British noodles on a soldier's hat. But we'll get to that in just a second. And then so here's our Indian feathers. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to take a little lemon yellow, a tiny bit of blue, and just a little bit of Indian yellow. I'm going to get an olive green and make that my medallion right here. So this is where the beadwork is going to go. I'm going to mix my cadmium red light and my magenta and get a nice vibrant red. Add some details in here. And they'll usually decorate it with sheep's wool around this area. They'll come down by the medallion and just hang down a little bit. And so it's a thick, heavy wool. So what I want to do to kind of represent that is I'm going to take a warm color and just kind of spread it on there. Let's bring a little light in here. Fix our little mistakes. So let's do our beadwork here. There's the basic structure of the headdress. Again, we have this section right here with the beadwork. We can kind of take some light and make that stand out a little bit more. We have these rolled tubes of red that go behind there. We have our sheep's wool there, and of course our Indian feathers behind it. So once we actually start painting, we're going to kind of add a few more little details. To get it to cover our background and whatnot. But that's the structure of the headdress that we want to be doing tonight. So there's the idea. Now, if we get a bigger canvas ready. All right, so if you are ready with your paint, again, I'm just going to be using these basic colors. You can use it whatever color you would like. We're going to kind of sketch out in a rough way. If you've taken the classes before, you know how I like to get things started. And that's just to get in there and push the paint around and kind of form it with the paint. So I'm just going to kind of throw some basic marks out on there. So when you start throwing the paint on the canvas, one thing that you want to make sure of is don't let this become a straight line. We actually want to have something that's more comes out and then comes back in. So we kind of want it just like that. Already used up all my glue. So just kind of push the, don't be afraid to make drastic adjustments at this point. Notice some of the angles. Of course, the where the beadwork is, where those red ribbons are, you can kind of see it goes out like a triangle. Comes back to our medallion here. So we're gonna have that. We have two little areas split up right there. Where the red ribbons go, or the red, I don't know what they call them. Red rolls are going to go in here, make that bigger up here, and this is probably going to be maybe if this is 2 links, this will be 1 link here. We got our headdress that comes up like this. How's everybody doing? Excellent. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. We're going to do something horrible with our Indian yellow in just a moment. We're going to wreck our painting on purpose. And if you've taken the class before, you've heard me say, do not like your painting, because at this point, we just want to, we don't care about this painting. We're willing to do whatever it takes to get, make whatever mess we need to make in order to make sure that the paintings can have a lot of character. And right now, we just kind of want our foundation to be somewhat accurate. So just in case you're wondering, there's beautiful Lake Superior. But it's only 30 degrees.
I was going to say, you're just trying to rub it in because we're getting warm weather down here.
That's right. Hope you guys are jealous. I'm up here where it's cold. Now, if you've already got your headdress drawn out, we are going to do something drastic. We're going to cover over just going past the lines on everything with my Indian yellow. And the reason I do this is because this allows me to loosen up. Stop trying to paint things perfect. And to remind myself that I'm going to get a better painting if I'm not worrying about all the details. all that hard work down the drain. But now we have a nice mess that we can start editing and really make it come to life. Now, what do I mean by editing? So for a background, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make maybe just an off-white. I don't think I've ever done an off-white background before. Maybe just a slight hint of gray in there. If you use Indian yellow, you're really gonna have fun seeing what colors come out of this as they blend together with that with the white. Oh, look at that. If you're using Indian yellow in that background, you'll see why I love Indian yellow so much. Everything, it just seems to warm up. And again, you can tell that, or you can see that I still do not like my painting. I'm just using, I mixed a white in with a little bit of my original dark gray color. And it just tinted it a little bit. Here's my headdress. Now it's back. So I'm gonna actually maybe I'll hold off just a second, let everybody catch up. Give me a thumbs up if you are keeping up with me, or give me a thumbs down if you want me to slow down a little bit. Perfect. So you can see painting this way, we already have given it a little bit of character, and you know, it would be it's going to have more character than if we were to render it perfectly. If we were to take the time to measure everything out, now we kind of get to put the emotion, the feeling, the fun, the creativity into our headdress. So it's a lot of fun to paint this way. And again, Bob Ross always talked about these happy accidents. This is one way that we get to have those happy accidents. And I do not have thick paint on my canvas yet. All I've done is add color and scraped over the top of other colors. So it's allowed it for the colors underneath to kind of bleed through a little bit. I kind of like the character that it has, kind of gives it an old antique feel to it, maybe weathered. And as I'm looking at it, I can start making some judgment calls with it. And right away, I see that I want to bring up my medallion just a little bit. So kind of notice these curves. Again, I'm just going to mark out some things that we want to be thinking of. Notice there's two curves right here, one or two angles, 1, 2, 3, but then we want to kind of have it kind of curve out and then work its way back in at the bottom. And what we're looking for is just kind of a nice balance. And that's where your judgment, your own creativity is going to come into place. We want to make sure that there's usually heavier feathers down at the bottom here, and it's just because of the weight of them, just pulling down. So we're going to feel more weight down here. Up here, the feathers are going to start slanting. And their slant will get more dramatic or drastic as it goes down. And a nice thing about what we did with scraping over the drawing with our Indian yellow is now we have all of our dark areas into our painting already. So when we go over this with a lighter color, that dark color is just going to add some depth to our painting. Now, if you have not used a palette knife before, hang on to your palette knife with the tips of your finger. And the reason why is because when you're hanging onto it with the tips of your fingers, now you can get up close to the canvas and you're not dragging your knuckles through the paint. So you can get up close, you have really good maneuverability with it, control with the palette knife. But if you're holding onto it like a knife, you're going to be limited and you're just going to get paint all over your knuckles and probably ruin your painting. And as we start adding more and more layers, we're not going to scrape anymore. We're actually going to just plant our color, just let the two colors kiss, the canvas color and the color that's on our palette knife, and just slowly slide to the side of it. And that way, that color that's on our palette knife is going to stay on the canvas and go over, cover over our background color. So if you'd like to see an example of that, so here's just kind of our bead work here. I'm going to lighten that up just a little bit. There we go. So just barely let the two colors kiss each other. I did put a little bit more pressure on just because I wanted a little bit of the dark to come through underneath. But I can literally just keep adding color and building up layers by just using a softer pressure on it as I apply the paint. And if you want practice on your palette where you're mixing your paint, try that pressure sensitivity maneuver where you just plant the knife, just let the two colors kiss, and then just slowly slide to the right or left or up or down.
Just the time update, Jeff. It is 6:42.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did that work for everybody? I see one thumb. And of course, if it doesn't come out right, grab some more paint. First, wipe off your palette knife, grab more paint, and just go over it again. I don't know if you can see this. But I like that multiple color look. Again, it just adds more dynamic, more interest in the painting. So how I enjoy painting, or what I like to do when I'm painting, makes it more fun for me, is I like to make the mess and then correct everything, start editing. And the mess is what allows for the happy accidents to come about, helps me paint loose, gives a little more character to the paintings. And so, and to me, it's easier because as I'm moving paint around and making the mess, I'm starting to see more and more the image coming out of it. And it becomes easy to edit and to just kind of create some fun in there. I'm gonna, with those red rolls, if you have a bright red, that'll work. Otherwise, I took my cadmium red light and my magenta, mixed them together, and you get a pretty dynamic red, pretty beautiful red. And it mimics, let me see if I can get this up here. It mimics those rolls pretty well. And basically what I'm gonna do is, because they're not very big, and just the same way that the feathers start to hang, my rule, these red rules are going to do the same thing. All right, so if you got these lines just red by themselves and you don't feel comfortable doing the next step, you don't have to. But I'm just going to take I mixed in some of my dark color that I made originally, added it to my red, and I'm going to come up from behind and just give it a shadow area. Of course, I can edit everything here. Of course, I can go the other way too. Added a little bit of white and yellow to my red. Got a lighter color. Now I've created some depth in my rolls here. So those are a little bit more tricky. So I'll just hold off a second, let everybody get caught up. Again, all we really want is something that looks like our pinky finger. And they kind of start to slant down as they go down the headdress. So we're going to slowly start pointing the end of it back down, mimicking the feathers. And again, you only have to do the one color. If it worries you that you're gonna mess it up, don't worry about it. If you did mess it up or you feel that it got messed up, scrape it off. We're actually going to be putting out a video soon. I painted the headdress earlier today. I was filming it, and guess what? It didn't work out, so I just scraped it off, kept it in the video, and repainted. And so, again, scraping it off, it'll add to the color that you scrape off will add to your mud pile, and then it'll create more interest. Just like we added that Indian yellow over our drawing, and now we kind of edited around the edges. It's just going to add more interest in the painting. So don't be afraid of doing something drastic if it doesn't look right. Those drastic changes often turn out to be what makes our painting work. Again, you can see that my painting is not perfect. A lot of mistakes in there, but that's okay. One of the reasons I like to paint this way is something I learned about the Renaissance artists. They would purposely leave their mistakes in their paintings. And it just reminded them that they were imperfect, that they were human, they make mistakes. And the collectors and people in general found this endearing. They had empathy for the painting, but also for the artist, recognizing his humility. And so I just thought that's kind of a interesting thought that these artists would actually, act in this way. And so I like what that does in a painting. The imperfections just remind us that we're human, we make mistakes, and we can relate to those imperfections. All right, since I have this bright red right here, it doesn't have to be this. Every medallion is going to be different. but I'm gonna paint kind of a green lotus color, kind of an acid green maybe. And I'm just gonna go up here, do a half circle this way, grab some more, do a half circle that way, touch up here. I just like how that green works with the red there. I'm going to take that same green and work it right up in here. Just a thin little line. Added a little white and yellow to my green to add some light hitting that medallion. I don't like the green going up here, so I'm going to change that to kind of a light orange peach color. Again, we haven't gotten into the painting really yet. So if there's any adjustments you want to make on your painting, you know, kind of moving the shape around a little bit, now is the time to do it.
Just a time update. It is 6:58.
Oh, okay. Are you having fun? That's more important than. Thank you, Eloise. Break down painting to its simplest form. We're using a tool to pick up paint off the palette and to put it on the canvas. Then we just move the paint around till we get something we like. sometimes we complicate it and we worry too much. We get fear about how it's being applied or if we're doing it right. But if we get rid of that fear, then we're going to have some fun with pushing that paint around. And it's always good to step back from your painting every once in a while. 6 to 8 feet is ideal because that's the distance somebody would look at it in a gallery or museum. And they're going to look at the whole painting and enjoy the whole painting. And when we're up close and we're painting our painting, we're looking at all the parts and we're judging all these little parts and we're not seeing the big picture. So step back once in a while, look at the whole painting. And that's where we're really going to be able to make good judgments with our painting. If that's not easy, if you have a cell phone with a camera on it and a screen, look at your painting through the cell phone camera. Again, it just helps us look at all the parts coming together as one. And we're looking at the negative space. We're looking at the shape of the headdress. We're looking at how the colors are coming together. Just don't want to get fear and lose the joy of painting. I'm adding my feathers, and the thing that I'm doing is making the feathers kind of a zigzag back here. If you can kind of picture in your mind those feathers, you know, they're going to be black on the ends and then kind of come in. What I did is took just a little bit of my original mud, mixed in a lot of white, and grabbed enough on my palette. You'll kind of have to experiment a little bit to get the feel of it for the right amount. But you want it to go halfway up the feather. So this is kind of a light gray color, so it's going to be cool. And I want that. I want my sheep's wool to be warm. However, I want to have a little bit of coolness in that sheep's wool. So I'm going to use that same color as a foundation for the sheep's wool. But I'm going to leave the sheep's wool for a moment. I'll let everybody get caught up. But the next thing I want to do on the feathers is mix white and just a hint of yellow. So you can use your lemon yellow, cadmium yellow light, your Indian yellow. You just want a small amount. You want to be able to still see it as white, but it's just a slight tint to a warm shade. So we're going to use the warm and the cool against each other. And of course, again, that really adds dimension to our paintings. Whenever we can kind of put warm and cool colors next to each other, it's just going to make our painting more dynamic, make it the colors explode. I'm just going to go over lightly, just letting that cool color come out from underneath. I have to make a slight adjustment in the top of my headdress to make it balance it out a little bit. So we should have a little bit of dark area back and forth right in here. We want that, you can kind of fill it in a little bit, but we definitely want that dark area because that'll help distinguish our feathers from our sheep's wool. How's everybody doing? Am I going too fast? Should I slow down a little bit? Slow down. Give me a thumbs down if you want me to slow down. How's that sound? Oh, excellent. I'm going to do one little thing right here. This is starting to create some static, kind of getting boring in there. There we go. Just create a little more zigzag in there. Thank you, Paula, for joining us tonight. Jake, do we have anything exciting happening with Buffalo Boughton right now? Anything that you can share? What's that?
Anything exciting happening right now?
Yeah, what are you working on?
Oh, let's see here. Yeah, think for a sec here. Well, we got a few videos. Let's see here. How do you describe them? Just kind of like fun fact videos, just on specific art pieces or art or artists, and we're going to be posting those to YouTube and Instagram reels and stuff like that. So hopefully soon, but we're going to get a few of them, and then we're going to post a few of them at one time, and then keep them up hopefully at least weekly. So that's one thing. A couple of it.
I think one of them is on Monet, or not Monet, Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, yeah.
And Mona Lisa is famous for being famous. And I've heard experts on it describe it as the Mona Lisa is the Kim Kardashian of the art world, which turns my stomach, but I thought it was kind of funny because it was stolen, and such a big deal came out of it from it being stolen. I think it was in the early 1900s, and people got worked up about it, and so all of a sudden became this famous painting just because it was stolen. And you look at other works of, I believe that's Da Vinci, did such better quality paintings, but that's the one that became so famous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how that works. Just it's famous for being famous.
Kind of like Jake's famous for being famous. Jake's the Kim Kardashian of the buffalo boughton world.
Oh, no. I'm glad we got that on recording. I'm gonna have to cut that part out now, Jeff. I don't want that on.
We'll start making T-shirts.
Oh yeah, put that on there.
Good on coffee mug too.
Oh man, there's too many jokes. Too many jokes with that. Yeah, that would be something.
So if you were to guess when those videos will be up, when do you think it'll be?
Actually, you know what? I have a calendar thing set. Let me check. I think it's just a few weeks. I should be able to. I'm taking a little bit, as all things do. It's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but
yeah, subscribing to our YouTube channel, you get quality content like this.
Nothing but the best. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So about a month, but a little under a month is probably what I'm going to trying to get five videos that are about a minute and a half to between a minute and a half and 3 minutes a piece.
That's cool.
So we'll see. And then I'm going to try to condense them down to be under a minute for the Instagram reel, TikTok type of YouTube shorts type of videos. It's kind of fun doing the research for that.
Cool. Can't wait to see them.
Me too. I don't know how they're going to turn out. I think they'll be good. But yeah, what else? I feel like there's something else that we've been working on that for a little while. The merchandise, making sure that's getting up, and I just want to see how this one piece does in the wash and stuff like that, and see, because it's not my favorite, but I think it's still good. Maybe in a different color would be my favorite. Anyways, working on the double chin merchandise stuff.
So is there anything that
what are you talking about?
Shameless promoting merchandise if we did this?
No, I don't. Yeah, we can't show that, Jeff.
Oh, okay. That's actually Tracy's mug. I'm probably going to get in trouble for touching it.
I can already hear right now. Jeffrey, did you touch my mug?
Yes.
Followed by
All
a
right, how's
smack. I guess another update. It's 7:21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're ready for the wool, I'm just going to kind of, it needs something in here. And I took my light color. Basically, I took the color that's already on there, and I added just a little bit of blue and a little bit of orange, which is going to make a kind of a bluish gray color. And we come in here. This is going to kind of be the underneath the warm wool. So we're going to go over this, but we're just going to let a little bit of that stick out. So that cool color that we just mixed, we mixed the, this light mud color. We add just a little bit of blue, tiny bit of orange to tone down the blue a little bit. Put it on there. Now we have a light blue gray color, kind of mimicking where our wool is going to go. And that's good because that blue color goes away from us. So we're creating the illusion that's going to be the wool that is not being hit by light. So it's gonna kind of create some depth in our painting. This is going to be some light blue wool hidden by the warm yellow wool on top of it. And this will just help set off that wool a little bit more. I like that color with the red. It almost has a hint of turquoise in it. I'm going to use that for my beadwork. if you get a chance, Pinterest is such a great resource for finding images of different subjects. Google is a great source. Even Instagram will have some great resources also. But look up Indian headdresses, and you'll see there's a variety of styles. So there's really no right or wrong way of doing them. Each feather represents an act of courage from a Native American. And so that's the idea behind the headdresses. A number of feathers would be, many years of acting courageously. And you'll actually see some headdresses that will have so many feathers that it goes down to the ground. And when somebody has that many feathers, you just don't mess with that guy. So I just took a little lemon yellow, little Indian yellow, and went over my medallion. I'm trying to get that certain green. It also allows me to use some yellow in there in the painting. So now I've got yellow, I've got red, I've got a hint of blue in there. I have some hints of orange in there, and there's some blue and red tones coming through back here also. But I'm creating a variety of colors. So on the bonnets, they would definitely decorate them and add all kinds of little details. So I'm just gonna add one right here. Would anybody like to show their painting? And you don't have to. I know there's a lot of fear in doing that. But this is one thing that you have to remember. Probably every one of us is going to feel like, oh, I don't want to show my painting. It's not going to be good enough. And we're all going to feel that way. But if we all show our paintings, most likely, and you know what's going to happen? We're going to look at everybody's painting and go, well, I wish my painting looked as good as theirs. And the reality is they're going to be looking back at your painting and wishing their painting looked like yours. It's just because we're very self-critical. Again, that fear is what kind of gets put into our minds, and now we're afraid to show our painting. But that really is how it works. So if you're brave enough to show your painting, we would love to see it. Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I can kind of see Sharon's. And Sharon, that looks incredible. Oh, nice, Tara. Beautiful. Excellent. Yeah, there's just no right or wrong way of doing it. We're all going to apply the paint differently. And as long as we use our creativity, it will be interesting. You will have something unique to look at. Oh, Robin, I saw that for 2 seconds. It looked really nice. Oh, there it is. Oh, look at that. Very nice, Robin. Yeah, Sharon, really nice. Oh, I missed it. Excellent, Tina. Beautiful. So I paint headdresses over and over again. So the fear kind of goes away a little bit. I get more confident in how I'm going to paint them. And so just like everything, the more we do something, the easier it becomes, the better we get at it. We never want to be perfected, and hopefully we'll never perfect it, because then the joy of painting goes away. But if we're always trying to reach a next level, painting is something spectacular. It's such a great endeavor, great hobby, great side business, or even business to be a part of or to have. But it is, just keep, with all the subjects, we do repeat the subjects, but we want to encourage people to keep taking the classes, because it will get easier. A lot of the frustrations that you feel, as an artist, it's excellent that you're feeling these frustrations, because this is what helps us learn what not to do. Imagine somebody who picks up the trombone to start playing the trombone. It's going to sound horrible and it's going to be frustrating because he's going to want to do something. Oh, look at that one. Excellent, Tina. Oh, Tina's sister. But you imagine the frustration of that person playing the trombone. Oh, look at, let me see one more. Excellent, Jocelyn. Beautiful. What are you? Oh, it looked like you were working on, is it paper? Now there's creativity. Actually, that's a great point. One of the fears that we can have with painting is that we're wasting materials. I save scrap paper. I do that. I take paint over old paintings, knowing that if it doesn't turn out, who cares? I can throw it away and move on. But just like that, go back to the trombone player. Imagine how that sound is. It's so frustrating. He wants it to sound beautiful, but he just keeps practicing. Eventually, it starts coming together. He starts realizing what works and what doesn't work. And over a period of time, he could even create his own style of playing that trombone. And that you can apply that to anything, any endeavor that we reach out to do. It's just we have to keep trying. We don't give up. And the fun comes when we start discovering things that work. The frustration is there to remind us what not to do, but the fun is what encourages us to do more. All right, so I'm gonna create my wool. So now I'm gonna go back. I have a nice warm white. I'm gonna try to get it just as white as possible, just a hint of yellow in there. Hint of, not a pure yellow, I'm muddying it a little bit. If you think of wool, because of the lanolins, just because of being in nature, it's never, when it's coming off the sheep, it's not going to be pure white. So they have to dye it, they have to clean it to get it to that pure white. So I'm gonna try to create the wool that the Native American would have used in his bonnet. So it's a little muddy. It's off-white, a hint of yellow, warm, but also I added just a little bit of the mud in there. And what I'm gonna do is come up and I'm trying to mimic wool. And I'm creating little circles. Letting a little bit of that color from underneath poke through. You have to be careful around the red because you will pick it up and then drag it. You'll have a nice pink line right there. But if you do that, don't worry, just grab some more paint and go over it. So just one thing that I think about when I'm painting, I want the eye to float around the painting. So this might not be true in your painting, but if you look at my painting, see how I have a light color coming here, and I have a light color coming here, and this is kind of blocking my eye flow. So I want my eye to kind of float across this area. So what I'm going to do is create a white green. It's better. There we go. So just a helpful tip in painting. I always want to push my contrast. So when right now I'm kind of editing my painting and I'm looking for the movement of the eye. I want the eye to float around, but I also want my subject to stand out and features of the subject to stand out. So I try to put my light colors next to my dark colors. I will use cool colors next to warm colors, and complements such as red and green being complements of each other. I'll use those also. So those are just ways to make the painting more dynamic. So if you're looking at your painting and thinking, well, what does it need? Try that concept, putting contrasts next to each other. Any questions that we can answer? We have a little bit smaller group tonight, so if you have a question, you might be able to, you can either write it in the chat or raise your hand.
Here's a question, Jeff. How do you transport your paintings?
Very carefully. No. So we have a van, and I built a rack system. And so if they're wet, they can lay down in this rack system, and they can be transported pretty easily that way and safely. Once they are dry, I will wrap them with plastic wrap around the edges, just because it's so easy to open up the skins when, you know, just because they're traveling around, getting bumped around. I did add a little purple in my painting just because there's a lot of yellow, and I wanted to kind of use that complement, yellow and purple complement. So up close, you can see that it's just a mess. There's really no skill. I'm not trying to use or trying to make it look like anything or for it to be perfect. But the beauty is, again, when you step back 6 to 8 feet, and all of a sudden it comes together. And the brain is tricked, and we start to almost see an Indian headdress here. So try not to make judgment calls when you're so close, when you're up close to it. Step back and make assessments from that 6 to 8 feet away. if you make all your judgment, or you make all your decisions from up close, what's going to happen is you're going to start going in there and fidgeting with everything and overworking it. And pretty soon, what was once fantastic and you absolutely loved, now you wrecked it. So try to step back and make assessments from a distance. And that's one of the best ways to find out if you're done or not. So a lot of times we struggle with, is it finished? If we're struggling, wondering if it's done, it's most likely not done yet. So, but the opposite can happen, is that we can overwork it, and pretty soon we hit that spot where it's just perfect. And you know what we do? We think, well, I'm going to make it more perfect. And we keep fidgeting with it, and pretty soon we overworked it and may have ruined the painting. So make those judgment calls from a distance. A lot of artists will paint. They do their painting from 6 to 8 feet away. They may walk up and apply the paint, but they're actually painting from that distance. And that way they can really get the overall picture and see how the painting is developing, see what works, what doesn't work. They're not going to overwork it because they're up close. They're going to step back, see it from a distance, see it as a whole, and then make judgment calls. And then they're going to be so much happier with the painting. Watch the guy who can't even sign his own name. Oh. Thank you, Eloise. Hopefully see you next week. Robin, that turned out fantastic. Sharon, yours also. Thank you, Robin, for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good night. Very nice. Oh yeah, it is 8:18 right now.
Okay. Maybe keep it going for a few more minutes. If you want, make some final adjustments. Look for some final details in our headdress. Again, don't try to overwork it. That's usually 95% of the time, that first stroke when you apply paint is the best one. It's the perfect one. So if we go over and we keep it, we think, well, it's perfect, but I'm gonna make it better. And that's when we overwork it and we end up ruining it. So trust that initial application of paint. That's one way to keep it looking fresh and loose. Usually you can tell when a painting has been overworked. again, just suggest things. How in your mind would you suggest that it's wool? You know, that it's kind of got that fuzzy texture. So we kind of just got to use our imaginations a little bit, and we leave out, if we try to overwork it, this way of painting, if we just leave out the details and suggest something, again, it becomes more powerful of a story. People will connect with it on a deeper level. Another helpful painting tip is to push the light in the dark. We talked about that a little bit earlier as far as contrast. But our natural tendency is to stay in the mid-range, and we tend to shy away from going to the dark darks and the light lights. And or if we do, we have no connecting colors. So if you think of shade of light to dark using a number system of 1 to 10, usually we stay between the 4 and 6. But if we can push ourselves to the 3, 2, and even 1, and 1 is not pure white, because we never want to use pure white, but we want a tint of white, and so it's still white, but it has a tint to it. And of course, then we want to push it the other way, 7, 8, 9. All of those different tones, different shades is going to add depth to our painting. So sometimes what we do is we stay with the 4 to 6 range, and then we just add a couple quick splashes of light and dark. But we kind of jump over the in-between colors, the 7, 8, and 9, and the 3, 2, and 1. So if you can kind of use that full range of shades, of tones of color, you will end up with a better painting. Okay. Any questions? It's just a smaller group right now. Any questions before we leave? So what are we painting next week, Jake?
Next week, oh man, I think it's the whale next week, but let me double check. Let me double check here. Loading. Let's see, Indian Chief. Yes, that's a new subject. We haven't done anything like that before. A whale.
The whale.
The whale.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's called a right wing whale or something like that, or right.
What's it called?
No, but
Yeah.
we'll get a picture posted of what we're going to draw.
Yeah.
Well, we won't be painting with any texture, but we will be doing a lot of scraping to kind of get the effects of that shades of the whale. It's a lot of fun.
So that'll be fun and new. And if you want to post your, you can either there's a couple of things if you want to send us your picture, your paintings. You can either upload them on our website, on our classes page. If you scroll down, there's a place to upload them, a picture. Otherwise, the best way to do it is actually just to post it on Instagram, either a post or a story, or however you choose to do it, and then just tag us using @BuffaloBoughton, and then that way it'll notify us. And then if you're comfortable with it, then we'll also post that to our story so other people can see all the variety of paintings that came out of the class. Everyone always enjoys that, so, and we do too. So.
All right. Well, since I'm up here on vacation, I'm going to cut out of here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And
thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bye, everybody.
Yep. Have a good night. Bye.